Welcome to Geeks Worldwide presents Press Any Key. I am, of course, your host, Michael Schluger, and this is episode 296. We have a fantastic show for you. Let me introduce the crew. Like myself, it is no longer, was it No Shave November? Is that technically what the term is?
November, I think.
Movember.
Novembeard is another word for it.
Novembeard.
Novembeard.
But like myself, the wonderful Connor Howard has decided to keep his luscious beard going, or he's just whichever.
I shaved my neck throughout the month, but I kept everything else going.
Still counts.
That's the plan. Yeah, I think so.
Josh Irwin is with us as well.
Hey, what's going on?
And of course, Chris Lassard.
I can't grow a beard.
It's okay.
Yeah, I haven't hit.
It's okay. We still love you, Chris. It's all right.
It's all right. At least someone does.
Now there's a total lack of facial hair in that window.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bear down there.
I could grow like a nice Fu Manchu, right? But I don't know if my husband would be okay with that. Probably not. I've always wanted to like experiment, but it gets to a point where like, so like the middle of my, it's funny, he just Facebook said, so I'm not okay. So my mustache doesn't connect, and so I have like the reverse Hitler.
Oh no!
Yeah, nice. And that's hot. Let me tell you. If you've never seen sexy before,
you should just get like a fake beard. Just go to like a costume shop to like a good one, not like the cheap ones. I'd be curious to see what you would look like with the beard.
Terrible. That's the answer. What if I get a beard and I'm like, what happened?
You'll definitely want to tune in next week, folks, and see what Chris comes back with.
Your husband will give you the quickest shave in history. He'll just be like,
yeah, exactly. Rip it out.
Yeah.
Well, back to video
but yes, we are here to talk video games. I know it doesn't sound like it, but I swear to you we are. So we're going to start off with two PSAs. The first one is just kind of random, but I thought this was cool, so I threw it in here. I was almost tempted to do this as a what the fuck story, but it's too cute to do it as a what the fuck story. Basically, a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple of months ago at this point, isn't it? Final Fantasy XIV, the game that I truly despise, announced a collaboration with Assassin's Creed, and they basically had this whole mini event within the game centered around Assassin's Creed that was just really odd. But whatever, the two teams were a fan of each other's works, apparently. And now it's coming back around. You will, if you have the latest Assassin's Creed Origins, you'll be able to get a Chocobo mount in Assassin's Creed Origins. Why? Who cares? It's a fucking Chocobo mount in Assassin's Creed Origins. I think it's cool.
It has to play the music, though. Like, the music.
Oh my God. Yes.
That's true. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But it has to be like Egyptian flute style, like
Like pan flute?
Yeah. It gotta be authentic about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So make this happen, Ubisoft. This is all on you. You decided to walk down this road, so now we need the Chocobo song playing when you ride the Chocobo. I think it's only fair.
How did the Chocobo? That's is it animal cruelty?
You keep cutting it out for me, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah. What are the Chocobos? What?
So I wonder how the Chocobos feel about this. Right?
Good question.
Like getting into another game. I wonder if they were asked this. Right? Like, is this okay? Is this morally all right?
Yeah, let's check with the Chocobo Rights Union. We really need their approval on this. Like,
I donate already.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I'm the president. You're talking to him.
All right,
bringing it up.
You're our point person now, Chris,
Yeah.
in this Chocobo related matter.
Yep.
Get on it.
Meanwhile, I'm just gonna ride it around, and you know what? Fuck it. If the music's not in there, I'm just gonna open up a tab, go on YouTube, find like a 24-hour loop of it, and just go at it. That's
Problem
What
solved.
I do before I have sex. Put on the Chocobo theme song and just get going.
I always put on the Guile theme. That's just me.
I mean, why the Guile theme and not the Rocky theme at that point?
Because it's clear.
It's all personal, you know. It's just, it's all subjective. Whatever you feel.
I guess. I mean, he is a man's man. But actually, we're not done talking about Assassin's Creed. The reason for it is because Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, is going to be free on Uplay this month. It's kind of dope, honestly. It's pretty much the best Assassin's Creed game before, in my opinion. I know you're a fan of Syndicate, Conrad. I thought it was the best one prior to playing Origins. So this one is going to be free starting December 12th. All right. So from December 12th to December 18th, all you got to do is open up Uplay and boom, it's yours. Enjoy. Prior to December 12th, another game is going to be available for free called World in Conflict. But honestly, I mean, I barely remember that game. I did not play it at all. Did anyone play it here?
I have no idea what it is.
It was. I heard about it when it was new, but it was pretty under the radar. I never actually got the chance to play it. I'm excited to try it out now that I have it on Uplay for free, so that's cool. But
yeah, so World in Conflict was a 2007 RTS game, basically. And it's really odd because, according to the internet, it was published by Sierra, so I'm not sure how it ended up with Ubisoft, but I'm not going to ask questions.
Vivendi.
Oh, Vivendi, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I think it was set in an alternate world, like World War III was happening or something like that.
Cold War, World War III, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, it's an RTS. Check it out. Again, you can't really argue with free, but Black Flag I think is the cooler game.
Oh yeah, I'm psyched about that. I enjoyed Syndicate, but I would still probably put Black Flag above it as a favorite of mine. So I'm pretty psyched.
Sea shanties, man, those things were awesome.
It was great. Yeah,
they were so good.
Amazing.
Honestly, I think it launched the current sort of. We're seeing sort of a trend of pirate games starting to come out now.
Bit, yeah.
And it was completely launched by Black Flag. It was 110% Black Flag that started.
For sure.
Yeah. But let's talk about an actual what the fuck story for this week. We have a ton, so I completely don't mind tossing one out at the beginning. Basically, in my opinion, this is the most useless piece of shit that has come out in a while, but it is a Amazon Alexa speaker. So basically, like not the dot's the smaller one. What's the regular one's just called? What, Alexa or
Echo?
Echo. Thank you, Josh. Right. So basically, this is an Amazon Echo, except it's shaped like a Destiny 2 ghost. And speaks with the voice of the ghost. Now, if you have a regular Amazon Echo, you can just download the voice of the ghost, and that doesn't, I believe that's free. It doesn't really cost anything. This ugly ass monstrosity is $90.
Come on, man.
I think it looks kind of dope. I don't even like Destiny that much, and I'm like, I could see myself getting that. I think it's cool. $90. It looks neat.
As someone who's actually a fan of Destiny, more or less, like I've played both games and you put considerable time into them. Like, yeah, I don't think it looks ugly. I think it looks kind of cool, but it's like I'm not buying it. I'm not going to buy it. But like, I can understand how, like, if someone was a more hardcore fan of Destiny than I am, I can see how they'd be interested if they also wanted an Alexa. But
you've got to be
there's nothing for me here.
Really, really hardcore.
Yeah, I think so.
It looks cooler than the little round hockey puck. I mean,
I agree with that. That's for sure. Yeah.
But the whole point of it is that you're not looking at this thing. You're just
and I think the hockey puck is like easier to put in your house, right? Because I don't think most people are gamers, right? So like when I'm picking out your Alexa, you're putting it in a place that it looks good in too. I think that's like a big reason it's popular, and this is a lot harder to make that happen. I mean, like I don't know where I'd put it to. Because what if someone's significant other doesn't like it and wants to put it somewhere else?
See, I would just hang it from my ceiling so that when I'm like streaming games and stuff, it's always like right there, and it's just
interesting.
Good use for it. It is like a weird intersection of hobby and appliance that like doesn't really. It just doesn't add up to me. It's like kind of a weird combination. But if you love Destiny and you want an Alexa, there you go, I guess. But I feel like that's like such a niche thing, you know. So I don't know.
So it's, by the way, if for some godforsaken reason you do want this thing, you only have a limited window left to purchase it. Pre-order is still available on it. but they are shipping out the 19th. And I believe once they're shipped out, they are not going to make any more. I don't think these things are flying off the shelf. So
literally,
literally
floating off the shelf.
Anyways, let's talk about the regular gaming news. We have some interesting things going on. Let us start with, as long as we're talking about Destiny 2, let's talk about Destiny 2. Destiny 2 has gone through a bit of a debacle, I would say. I think we're past controversy now, and it's just straight up into debacle, where they basically scaled the way that players earned XP, but didn't tell anyone how they were doing it. And so a very attentive player basically ran a bunch of tests to figure this out on their own. And then when confronted with this information that the Bungie was sort of intentionally increasing the grind, then they sort of copped up to it, and they're like, yeah, we're doing this. And then correct me if I'm wrong, because Connor, you know what? I'm gonna actually shut up now, and because you're the more active Destiny 2 player, have you been following this story? Do you want to like?
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, I played Destiny 2 earlier, a month or two ago. I actually rented it, just to see what the campaign was like, and then I got rid of it. Like I think I sent it back right around the time this was starting to get uncovered. So I haven't really been paying too much attention to it, but it's definitely an instance of like developers need to know how important it is to be transparent about their systems, because people will find this shit out. People will go to whatever lengths necessary to find out the mechanics of how they are getting screwed or whatever. So I think Destiny's always had a grinding problem, and I think people were really, really adamant about finding out just how bad it was in Destiny 2, because it felt different. They had tweaked a lot going from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 about how rewards worked. Like in Destiny 1, you had to do the exact same thing over and over and over again, and hopefully you got something good out of it. In Destiny 2, you could do a bunch of different things and get sort of consistent rewards that were more random. They were more random, but they were more frequent. So like you kind of got some payback more often, but you never knew what you were going to get. So I think people just kind of wanted to find out exactly what was going on, and maybe that's what led us here.
The response was also a bit baffling, because basically once Bungie admitted that they were scaling back the EXP gains, they removed it. So now you earn EXP, or XP, I should say, uniformly. There's just one problem. They increased the amount of XP you need to earn to get anything. So now the grind is even bigger.
I don't know why they just didn't say, hey guys, we thought this is a good idea to encourage players to try out other game modes.
Right.
and just like go with that, because I would have believed that. 100%.
That makes sense. That would make sense to me.
Right?
They're probably just thinking like, hey, we don't want people to get bored so fast, so we want to keep them on the treadmill a little while longer, basically, because there's only so much you can do. I think Destiny 2 had a lot of improvements to the world and to the the activities you had at your disposal. But at a certain point, you got like the raid, you've got competitive, and that's about it as far as end game content. Otherwise, you're just kind of doing relatively entertaining, but like ultimately repetitive stuff. So like that's their incentive. They were like, hey, let's just keep people busy for a a while longer.
And the timing couldn't be worse, because they have the new DLC coming out.
Osiris came out yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Came out.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems to me that Bungie is just kind of like shooting themselves in the foot. By the way, Osiris is getting awful reviews from what I've seen.
Really?
So I got the opening cinematic, and I didn't play Destiny 1, but I'm at like 301, 302 in Destiny 2 right now. A lot of my friends play it, and I like did the opening of Osiris, and I was like, I don't think I'm interested anymore, right? It was that. I like saw the opening cinematic. Yeah. It was cool. It was pretty. It really makes sense. But it also made me mad that it was already in the game. I didn't have to download it. I just paid for it, and then it was just unlocked in the game. And I was like, this was here the whole time. Why didn't you give it to me?
I've long for a while. I've had a problem with the way Destiny, like Bungie handles just sort of the phasing in of content for their games. Like in Destiny 1, it was basically a paywall. Like if you wanted to do the weekly Heroic Strike or Nightfall or whatever it was, you would have to have the DLC. Basically, you'd have to have the latest expansion.
And then what the DLC does,
yeah. By the way,
off to you.
By the way, yes. So okay, actually, I'm going to stop for a second because I feel like Josh hasn't gotten a chance to chime in. So, Josh, what were you going to say before?
Oh, I bet that Activision is getting ready to pay EA to bring back Battlefront 2 microtransactions. That's all. They're just like, oh man, we're getting a little hot over.
Yeah, so that was the other thing I had read today, that basically when Osiris dropped, they changed what you were saying, Connor, that you could no longer access some of the dungeons unless you paid. That you could before Osiris came out, and now once it came out, you have to purchase Osiris to go back into the dungeons that were previously available to you. And
because they added a room in the.
They added what?
They added a room in the raid. So in the Leviathan raid, there's 4 in Destiny 2 before Osiris. There's 4 rooms. There's cup, dogs. It's symbols.
Gauntlet. There's like the gauntlet. There was the dogs thing. There was something else. I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a stealth mission.
Yeah.
But Osiris added another room. So it's like the first new piece of content for the raid. Because before you were just going over the same thing, spending 2.5 hours training new people to go through this raid over and over and over again. Because a lot of the holdovers from Destiny 1 only did that.
Cool. All right. So, you were telling us about that time the clown molested you, Chris?
Oh, yeah. So it was back in college, and his name was Frank. Frank was originally pretty muscular. I didn't know what his previous life dealings were until we had a conversation, and he kind of brought it up, and I was like, all right, this guy's kind of weird, but I'll give him a shot. And so the next day, right? This is crazy. The next day, I mean, in Boulder, Colorado, of all places. The next day, I see Frank one more time.
I love Chris.
And he's got no clothes on other than a clown face and the shoes, but nothing else.
The shoes are important.
You gotta have the shoes, yeah.
If you're gonna wear shoes, you gotta wear socks in the house. And so that's what I see when I walk into the door. And then from that day on, I was like, man, I fucking love clowns.
And we're back.
That was a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
Chris, I would pay to see you in an improv act. I think.
Seriously, yes. Changed my life, man.
I appreciate that.
Frank. You found your calling, Chris. Meanwhile, I'm sure like clowns across the country are like, I gotta get this guy's number. I gotta get his digits.
My name's Frank, and I'm a clown. Is this what?
Is this what's like to be desired?
Your fan club just grew by 500.
Anyways, Destiny 2. So
right, Destiny 2. Yeah,
Destiny 2.
Speaking of
clowns, right? So yeah, the Osiris is coming out with terrible reviews. Actually, people are calling it the worst Destiny expansion since the Something Wolves, which I hear was awful.
House of Wolves.
It broke the game.
House of Wolves broke the game. How'd that happen? I don't remember that.
Oh, well, they dropped a bunch of new weapons and increased the stats for a bunch of weapons that people already had. So it was pretty much like if you wanted to be competitive, you had to buy the DLC and get the.
Oh, right.
And so. I think people are actually complaining about that for this. I haven't played too far into it to know for sure, but
sounds about right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: do you guys still feel that Destiny 2 has some legs? Do you feel like they can recover? Where do you feel is the point in which we're past the point of no return, and Bungie has kind of driven the franchise into the ground? How much more time would you give it, Chris?
I'm probably gonna play through the story. And just kind of like play with my friends when they're on. But I mean, even this last week, I dropped out of like the raid group and stuff. I don't like grinding, and I don't like doing this over and over again. So I'll just do what's different, kind of get a taste of it. Probably play when the next DLC comes out. Just
have you already purchased the expansion pack? So you're essentially
So I was really lucky and got Destiny 2 for free, and so I've only had to pay for the.
Oh, okay.
So it was an easy. But yeah, I kind of want to see the new raid room, and I want to see the new guns. There's some new skins for the guns that are cool, but that's not like why.
I see. All right. Well, keep us posted. I'm kind of curious. But let's move past Destiny 2. Let us talk for a second about Nintendo. Nintendo, actually, more stories this week about Nintendo than I'd expect. But the first one is, I think, caught a lot of people by surprise. And this is basically that Nintendo is releasing HD ports of Wii games on the NVIDIA Shield in China. That's like a long sentence, I know, but kind of crazy. Never expected it to happen. A lot of people are pointing this and saying like, oh, this is just their way of testing the waters and that we're going to see these HD ports come to the Switch, which makes a certain amount of sense to me. What's your guys' take on this? Are you going to be like trying to figure out how to get these things onto like create a Chinese account? I know you have a Shield, for example, Josh. So have you thought about making a Chinese account to download the, Nintendo games?
No, I mean I've got a Nintendo Switch, and I imagine that's going to happen eventually. I think if you go back when we were talking about the NVIDIA Switch and when we found out it was basically a Shield in disguise, I said that we would start seeing some crossover. I thought that it would be AAA titles that people had developed for Shield that they just took the APK and brought it over to the Nintendo Switch. I totally didn't expect it to go this direction.
A really surprising move, like China of all places. So for those not in the know, China had a bunch of laws that basically prevented games from coming out in China. So I guess Nintendo sees this as, that doesn't mean that bootlegs didn't make, because nature finds a way. But you guys think that this is just an easy way for Nintendo basically to expand their influence in the country in which they probably don't have that much recognition, maybe?
Yeah, they probably can't produce enough Switches to cover that market either. So,
oh yeah, definitely not.
Ironic since they're made there, but
that's a good point.
The Chinese market has so many IPs, right? It's already super saturated without Nintendo. So I think you're right. It's probably a way to get a new audience, but I don't know if it'll be receptive. A lot of other companies have tried to do the same thing in China. I think Disney is a good example of it working, but I don't really hear of any other success stories of like foreign companies moving into China to grab the market outside of like American, right?
Right, and to be clear, right, these HD are of games that don't have HD ports yet, with the exception of Twilight Princess. Punch Out, Super Mario Galaxy is supposedly coming soon, and new Super Mario Brothers Wii have all been released already. Which again, like, I guess it's probably not too hard to upscale the graphics, but very interesting.
Our next news story will be when they finally bring these to Nintendo Switches in the rest of the country, and there's not price parity because they're only like $10 each game or something in China. But I guarantee you, if they do an HD remake of Mario Galaxy, it's going to be $50 here.
Oh, they better not do that.
Watch, that'll be our next news story.
Maybe, God,
I'd guess 40 tops personally.
Well, but it won't be $10.
No, definitely, yeah.
I imagine 30, but yeah, that's a good point, Josh. That's a good point.
That's probably true.
The other interesting sort of Nintendo story involves their mobile platform. So, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp recently came out on both iOS and Android. Now, I don't like Animal Crossing at all. Not to say that's a bad game. It's just it doesn't appeal to me personally in the slightest. So I didn't even bother to download it. Mm-hmm. And apparently it doesn't appeal to a lot of other people as well because it had the lowest numbers, I think, out of the mobile games that Nintendo has released so far. Let me see if I can find them in the article. It was a couple million, which doesn't actually amount to much. Let's see here. So it brought in $10 million of revenue, but Super Mario Run has brought in 24 million, and Fire Emblem Heroes have brought in 33 million. So it's the lowest performing of the bunch. And I had download numbers somewhere. I'm not now. What do you guys think Nintendo is doing wrong when it comes to the mobile platform, and what do you think they could do to improve? Like, where is the most room for improvement with them?
I think they're going to improve after the VGAs. Actually, I think that game is going to generate a lot more revenue because I suspect that they're going to announce Animal Crossing for Switch at the VGAs. So if you notice, they kind of always release a mobile version of a game before they release the information on a new game that they're working on for whatever their major hardware is. So I think it's part of their strategy. I don't think that the fact that it's underperforming right now means anything until after the VGAs.
By the way, I finally found the number that I was looking for. It had about 15 million downloads, 15 million downloads in 6 days. But of those 15 million downloads, it's not converting a lot of people into paying customers, which is a similar problem to what Super Mario Run had, where it's, I think, the most downloaded game on the Android store, but most people don't pony up the $10 to unlock the full game. And a lot of people are pointing to basically the Switch, saying that this thing's doing so well that no one gives a crap about the mobile offerings.
Because the Switch is mobile too.
Because the Switch is mobile too. So if that's the case, and well, I should say, because that is the case, do you think that Nintendo is going to be shying away from the mobile market, or, as the article suggests, do you feel like it's going to be acting as sort of like a brand ambassador, as a foot in the door for people to start becoming more familiar with the Nintendo brand who might not be?
Well, I think we have an example of it working and it not working. Right? Fire Emblem acquired a bunch of new players, right? It was a good game, people liked it, right? And then we have this example where it was low user acquisition. I don't know how the game has been, so I can't speak on it. But I think that the difference is Fire Emblem had a really core group of people who really love that game and has been being made every so often for the last.
You don't think Animal Crossing has been around for a decade at this point?
I think that game has a small. I think it's been the same people though who have been playing all of the Animal Crossings. I don't think they've been getting new users through their games like Fire Emblem did. I think Fire Emblem did a better job of acquiring new users, where I think the Animal Crossing has been. I think it came out when I was like 15, right? And a bunch of my friends, and I noticed that when this Animal Crossing, all those same friends I played with picked this game. So I think in terms of user acquisition, and they're competing against themselves, right? We just mentioned that the Switch is mobile as well. So
right,
if you have both, then just wait for it on the Switch. If you have a Switch, you have a phone.
So Josh is making the argument that they're going to announce an Animal Crossing on the Switch. That's right, Josh? Did I understand it correctly?
Yeah, so for the whole brand ambassador thing, yeah.
Yeah, so why would they play it on the mobile? Or you think there's going to be some sort of cross-platform thing?
No, I think it's to generate hype and to bring it back into the public consciousness, so that when they announce it on the Switch, they'll get more downloads of their mobile app, and then they'll get more pre-orders, or however that all works itself out, but they'll get more interest in the Switch version as well.
Personally, I can see that being.
People who are hype about the Switch one are going to go and get the mobile app just to get their fix for now until the Switch version comes out.
That's honestly that's a great way to approach it from their perspective, because I kind of approach games the same way. Like, if I know a game is coming out, I might just be more interested in the series as a whole up until the release date. So that's not a bad strategy. It's not a way for them. That's not a bad way for them to come at it. So I can see that.
Okay, that's fair. Do you guys see Nintendo continuing to push mobile titles despite, obviously not being as successful as they want the mobile titles to be?
It's where the money is. Mobile titles make more money than any other genre out there. So if they want to try to capture some of that pot, then they've got to. and more people have phones than anything else. It's kind of like that whole strategy of let's cast a wide net and see what we bring back, right?
Yeah, it's almost like they can't really afford to not be involved in mobile. So it's just really just a matter of doing it right.
Well,
honestly.
Except that you're forgetting that Nintendo is a crotchety old man that never does what you think they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, you love Nintendo. I would. Oh my God. It's one of your favorite. That and Hot Nuts.
That's true.
Yep.
Hot Nuts.
Loves Nintendo almost as much as he loves Hot Nuts.
Yep,
it's true.
Tied for.
Can't go anywhere without my Hot Nuts. So yeah, I do think that Nintendo is going to be in an interesting spot. I haven't seen anything yet from their mobile offerings that have really grabbed myself. And I play mobile titles all the time, so I feel like I feel like
huh?
I thought you were trying to say something by coughing.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like I would be an ideal candidate for them, right? Like, I have nostalgia for Nintendo. I play mobile stuff all the time because I have an hour commute on the train, so my phone is out there and I'm doing stuff. And they just keep fucking up. And it was a prime example of this is Super Mario Run. Super Mario Run's actually a really nice game, but they made it keep checking in with a central server. And if you're in an underground subway, you can't play it. And the levels are short. The levels are like a minute. So even if I start a level above ground, as soon as I play through a level really quick, I have no signal. That's it. I'm done playing the game. It sucks. So get it together, Nintendo. Give us an offline game. I mean, be reasonable. Don't charge us like $30 like Squeenix, because that's just a dick move. But give us something we can actually enjoy is what I'm trying to say. Our last story is the last story. Yeah, the last regular story has to do with Take-Two, actually. So there was a conference recently. It was the Credit Suisse 21st Annual Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference. Never heard of this before, but it's the 21st one, so I guess other people know about this. A presentation was being given by the Take-Two Interactive president, Karl Sladoff. And of course, everyone should fucking know what Take-Two is, right? Like, I don't think... If you're a gamer, you should know Take-Two. Anyone want to shout out a Take-Two game real quick?
Burnout? No, Burnout isn't a Take-Two game, is it?
No, that's Criterion. Take-Two would be the sports titles, right? They do sports titles.
It's Rockstar
GTA,
right?
Rockstar.
Rockstar.
Yeah.
Take-Two is Rockstar. So
wait, so Take-Two is the publisher of Rockstar games?
So Take-Two is Rockstar and 2K.
Borderlands,
yes.
Right?
Borderlands is not. Borderlands.
That was Gearbox.
Borderlands is I'm pretty sure it's.
I'm pretty sure it's published by Take-Two.
Yes, BioShock, XCOM, Max Payne, Manhunt, Bully,
Sid Meier, right? Civilization. That's Take-Two.
Yep, Civilization.
Yeah, and like I said, they own Rockstar. So
and
I didn't know they owned Rockstar. That's news to me. I didn't know that.
Yes, they own Rockstar.
Wow.
So you know this company. When the president of Take-Two opens his mouth, I think gamers should listen. And what he had to say at this conference was kind of interesting. He basically said that there's no question in his mind that the games industry is going 100% digital, which I think at this point really isn't a controversial statement to make. He did waffle a bit on how soon he thought it was going to happen. He said, and this is an exact quote, he said, "I just can't predict whether that's 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. It's probably less than 20 and maybe more than 5, but I think it ultimately gets there." What do you guys think? How long is it going to take us to go completely digital?
I think he's absolutely right in that it's definitely going to happen. Just looking around at how we live now, where we're in such a hyper-connected world, it's definitely inevitable. I'd say his timeline, honestly, that's probably conservative to me. I'd be surprised if it takes 10 years before disc-based games completely are phased out. I would be surprised if it takes longer than 10 years because I'm already starting to see it happen. And I'm not happy to say that. I'm not excited the opposite, actually. I'm kind of old-fashioned that way. I really like to have a physical collection of my games, and that's what I'm used to.
It's like having an album collection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just kind of like the physical product of it, and that's just what I'm used to. But just looking at the writing on the wall, I think he's absolutely right. There's really no denying that PlayStation, the publishers and PlayStation and the publishers that they work with are definitely pushing like digital download, day one download, things like that. PC gaming has been almost completely download based for the longest time, for years now. Microsoft, obviously. Nintendo might be a little slower on the uptake, like they are with everything on this, but even factoring them into it, again, I'd be shocked if we're waiting 10 years for a complete phase out.
Anybody else want to chime in? Because the other statement he made actually more controversial. But Josh, go ahead.
I completely disagree. I don't think that.
Ooh, a challenger appeared.
Whoa!
I'll tell you why. There's a couple of reasons. First of all, the fact is that game publishers, when you're talking about home video game consoles, they rely on retailers to sell those consoles, and there's no retailer partnering if they can't continue to sell stuff on the back end. That's why retailers sell consoles at just like $1 or $2 over what they're actually paying for them, because they're going to make money on the games that they sell. So I think that's number one. Number two, you have the issue with net neutrality going on right now, where you've got all of these ISPs and shit limiting bandwidth. So it's going to make it even harder to go purely digital, because now all of a sudden you're going to have to pay for an internet fast lane. You're going to have to pay for more, gigabits to download and all that other shit. And internet is just inconsistent across the country. It's not consistent in rural areas.
Well, now, but I mean, do you still think it will be equally? Well, you know what? Let's put it this way. You make some excellent points, Josh. I would say in the very near future, we're going to be 90% digital and 10% retail.
For sure. I agree with you. Totally digital. I don't think it'll ever happen. Not on game consoles.
And I was gonna add that like Amazon store, and most people will be more than happy to buy your game console off of Amazon. So
but remember, Amazon for a long time stopped selling Nintendo products because they weren't getting the support and additional sales and stuff that they wanted to get from Nintendo. So that's still a retailer that wants money on the back end.
I just feel like, personally, from what I've seen, I don't really have a problem imagining the death of games retail as we know it. I'm sure it'll continue to exist in some form, but as we know, stores like GameStop, they're starting to really adapt and change to the idea of everything being digital. Like, I don't know, just like my local GameStop, it's selling less. Seems like the store is becoming less about games and more about accessories.
It has been for a while. That's just been the trend of GameStop. Because
to me, that
is
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's most GameStops.
Right.
More and more people are buying digital, so GameStop is trying to diversify to get people into the store to buy like geeky shit that's not necessarily a game.
Yeah. To me, just seeing that informs to me my decision that I could see this happening for sure at some point, and I think that point is soon. But Josh, those are great points. Like, not everyone lives in a sort of internet hotspot that I do. Like, well, even I'm not even in a hotspot. I'm just in a okay spot. So it's like not everyone has that. Not everyone has access like that. I think the retailers will find a way to remain relevant for a long time. I just know that it's changing, and it's changing fast. So it might not die out in 10 years physically, but
I think it's more likely that
I can see Chris is straining to contain himself. He wants to say something so bad. Chris,
I think you're both right, and this is why. When you go to any marketing conference website, right, the number one thing you'll see is probably one of two things, right? Something called retailment and experiential marketing, right? So I think what is going to happen is storefronts are going to become glorified demos. So you can like go to a store, and I know that these talks are happening based on what I do as well. And so the idea that I've heard a lot is that you could go to a store like Uniqlo, right? So Uniqlo just made all of these interactive mirrors, right? So you could stand in front of the mirror, go through their selection. They'll have like one of everything in the store so you can see and touch it. But you actually order your clothes on the mirror. So you like go in there, you pick your clothes, you pick your selections and colors, you go and you pay, and then it ships to your house. And so a lot of stores are trying to move into how can we engage the younger audience, right? Because I know we hate this word, but millennials are all about experience. They're cheap and they want an experience.
That's very true.
So that's how the marketing industry is moving. And if they're there, and the marketing industry, I think, is last to adopt a lot of stuff, they see that coming. And if I hear the word retailment one more time, I'm going to shoot somebody. But at the same time, like I agree, like
you did it. You done did it now.
God damn it. But I think what people are searching for in terms of what the future of shopping is exactly that. Is they want it to be an experience that they can go and have it be worthwhile, as opposed to going into a store and combating with other people. Pretty much millennials just want to get rid of Black Friday, right? And so, and that kind of whole like atmosphere of what's shopping. And so I think that companies like Macy's and JCPenney are going to be really hard pressed to advance their sales techniques because they're so ingrained in their old styles. But some of these tech companies, these video game manufacturers, are going to have an easier time digital. So I think, yes, we'll have storefronts, but it'll be a combination of it all. So you can have an experience shop, but it'll still be digital.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic analysis, actually, and I think very spot on. I do want to highlight the other thing that the president said during this talk that he gave, which, in my opinion, is honestly the more sort of controversial thing that Sladoff said. He basically talked about microtransactions because obviously that's a plague upon the industry right now and something that a lot of developers are dealing with. And what he basically said, I'm going to sort of summarize it, is that microtransactions aren't bad. It's that that building the game around the microtransaction is bad. That there's not enough content basically happening in the game. The exact quote is, in terms of the consumer and the noise you hear in the market right now, it's all about content. It's about over-delivering on content and making sure you're focused on engagement. That has been our strategy and where we're focused. And as long as you keep your eye on that ball, you're going to be okay. The customer is going to be really happy with what they get. And honestly, I trust the man in the sense that if you look at GTA Online, the thing is basically printing money for Take-Two, hand over fist, basically. So I'm really curious about your take on this, Chris. Do you think he's right, or should all microtransactions be eliminated, or are they, mostly terrible, evil?
So I have two ways to. So my realistic response is to say I agree with it not having the game built around it, right? So pay to win, and that I like opening my Overwatch loot boxes, and sometimes when I'm bored and I just have that feeling, I'll just pay $5 and get, I think, 10 or 5 loot boxes, right? So I personally like it. I think in a perfect world, there would be no microtransactions because I miss buying a game and having it, right? And just having a complete experience.
Yes.
Right?
Tell me about it.
Like how long has it been, right? It's been so long since like a game came out. I think some indie games will be able to provide you for this.
Indie games
but
have kind of done it, but they're shorter experiences overall.
Like games like Ori and the Blind Forest, right? Same. It was a complete game. I got it. The music was amazing. I finished it, and I was okay with that. I didn't need a sequel. And so, and I would love one, but I don't need one. I feel like it was a complete package, and I just miss that. And I like how they're trying to put content into things. And I get that you have to pay the developers and stuff, but I feel like that should be forethought rather than, I think that's a bad game design as opposed to, just trying to make money. So that's my take on it. So I don't really care personally, but I think in a realistic, everyone should be able to buy.
Keep cutting in and out.
I'm too far away from my microphone, so I think that's what it is. But what I was saying is, I think in the end, I don't really care. I like opening my loot boxes, and I have the means to buy this stuff. But in a perfect world, you're already working so hard to buy these games just to be told that you have to buy $20 more to open them.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line is if you're paying for a full price game, you expect a full price game.
Yeah.
Like a free to play title with microtransactions for your $60.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's like I opened Destiny and the fact I didn't have to download that expansion pissed me off, right? It's already in the game. They had it. And I have a friend who works at Bungie and they were done with that thing. Like, whoever knows, right? They're probably working on it before Destiny even came out, right? So they like knew this was going to happen, and there's just something slimy about that I don't know, that I don't like.
I agree.
There is. Josh,
I do want to say,
kind of quiet. Oh, go ahead, Connor.
Just saying, modern example of a complete game for a complete price: The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Just needs to be known that like hours, like it's such a huge engrossing game. And CD Projekt Red was really awesome about just free add-ons, free new quests, and when they did have expansions, they were reasonably priced and also complete experiences. So that's a great example of a company that's doing it right, I think.
One of the greatest games in the last 5 years, for sure.
Absolutely. One of my favorites of all time.
I really need to sit down and play that game.
You really do.
I don't want to play it till I beat 2, and I'm not consistent enough of
You don't need to.
I never played any of the first 2 Witcher games, so I got right into the Wild Hunt, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so I can confirm.
Interesting. All right, so that is all for our regular stories, but we have some amazing what the fuck stories for you. And as usual, we are going to go from less fucked up to more fucked up. So we're going to start off with Nintendo. Actually, it's pretty rare for us to do. Like it's funny because when we're doing the show, we'll often be like, "What the fuck, Nintendo?" But it's pretty rare that we actually do a "What the fuck Nintendo" story. That makes any sense? But yeah. I thought this qualified. So it's official. This is an official thing that's happening. There's going to be a Super Mario cereal. Like this is a thing.
It's about time.
Yeah. You can go to I don't think it's in stores yet, but it will be soon. I think Kellogg's is the one making the cereal, I believe. But that's not why we're talking about this. We're talking about this because the cereal is going to come with a little amiibo sticker that you will be able to use in Super Mario Odyssey. And of course, a lot of people were initially pretty upset about this, believe it or not. And the question was, what will this amiibo sticker grant you? Well, that has finally been revealed. And it is a heart. It's a heart.
That's such a cereal thing to do.
Or a couple of coins. That's what it will grant you. And I think this is a missed opportunity, honestly.
Yeah.
By Nintendo or the cereal company. I don't really know who reached out to whom first. But really? A fucking heart and some coins? You mean the thing I can get by just like running around the level for like 5 seconds?
So wait, are these in-game coins or in-game hearts, or are they just literally stickers?
No, in-game coins or hearts. So you take the sticker off the box, put it on the amiibo sensor on the Switch, and while the game is on, and some coins will appear, or a heart.
I just want my 1990s Nintendo cereal system back. That's what I want. The Super Mario side and the Zelda side, one's fruity and one's berry. What's the difference? Who cares?
Yeah. That sounds awesome. I must have missed out on that one.
Oh, here, you've never seen that before?
Yeah, we're probably too young for that.
I might have been too young. Yeah, I might have been a long time.
Shit, am I the old man of the group? That's not cool.
You are, unfortunately. Oh. That's okay.
Don't worry, you don't look a day over 75.
I'm 36. Well, I'm
there. It is again. Savagery, man. Ouch. Shit.
I'm just exercising my First Amendment.
I knew Chris was young, but I didn't. I thought you guys were closer to my age.
I'm 27, so I'm not too far.
I'm 27 too. So
I'm the closest, Josh. I'm 32. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But it was still I don't remember that cereal.
Chris and I are the kids.
I put a link to the cereal in our chat there.
But, yeah, look at that. That's weird.
But so the thing is, my original point was this is a cool idea. Why not just fucking like Kellogg's pay Nintendo the money, have them design a small level or something, or do some kind of cereal power up that's weird. I don't know. Make it interesting. Don't give us a couple of fucking coins in the heart. Like, do something with this. I don't think anyone's going to use this amiibo sticker. It's the most useless piece of junk I can imagine.
Well, do you think maybe they're thinking that people are going to keep buying cereal, so they'll just get coins as they buy the cereal?
That might be their play. Like, hey, it's like, you know, the more you eat, the better, you know, score you have in your game or whatever.
It's like Call of Duty XP doublers, right?
Exactly. It's like, chugging game fuel so you can get better XP bonuses or whatever.
It doesn't make sense though, because Super Mario Odyssey has no lives. There's no lives in this game.
Yeah, that's what's confusing me.
Well, no, coins are your life in the game.
Coins are your life in the game, but you can always just get more coins, and the coins are not rare or hard to come by, and there's no score in Mario Odyssey to my knowledge. So again, the analogy doesn't work. It's so weird. I don't know.
It's just lazy, you know. It's just like maybe they just thought the tie-in was good enough on its own. They didn't need to actually pull anything off with it.
It's a cool idea, or it's terrible execution. Like, what if they gave you like the original game after you bought like 5 boxes or something and mailed in the thing? That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be neat.
Also, in Mario Odyssey, you can change the level at any time. You can go from easy to hard, and if it's on easy, if you just stand around for a couple of seconds, your life meter refills to 6. So
regenerating health mechanics.
Yeah, on the
every game has them.
But I'm just saying, it's just such a weird thing to give players. It doesn't make any sense at all. So our next story involves, let me see, what is our next story? All right, so I'm going to do this because this is fucking brilliant. A Twitch user.
This guy needs a job, right? Yeah. I want to give him a job. This is fantastic.
He needs a medal.
I know, right?
So I'm sure you've seen this. This has made its rounds on the internet. He basically was watching a live UFC fight, but made it appear as if he was playing the UFC game. He was, because there's a UFC 3 game coming out, and he fooled Twitch. He streamed the entire fight. Pretty fucking amazing.
What a legend, dude. What a fucking legend.
That's like such a boss, dude. It's
right?
So I'm laughing.
My favorite part is when it's like he held a controller and made gaming sounds.
Yeah. He held the controller. He made commentary as he was playing.
Like, yo, these graphics, man! Check this out.
Game of the year.
It's true. Listen, absolutely. And if anyone looked at a thumbnail, it looked like he was just playing something.
God damn it, it's so funny.
How many people figured it out to say in that article? Like, how many viewers he ended up getting?
Good question. Thousands at the very least.
I think that what's kind of funny about that is that Twitch used to be Justin TV. Does anybody remember that?
I do. Yep.
Vaguely, yeah.
Twitch was Justin TV, and people used to stream sporting events on Justin TV all the time. That's like what it did.
It's coming full circle.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that way.
That's funny.
That's pretty cool. Is that our last? This is our last story.
I'm just wondering if Dana White or Joe Rogan is going to show up and beat the shit out of this guy for I don't know, because there's probably a fraud suit coming his way or something.
Well,
it's a big deal.
Like, streaming live to Twitch is like a really good idea for sporting events. Like, thinking about it right now, I'm like, I would totally pay like a $5.99, $10.99 package to watch live events on Twitch.
So you think this guy's giving them an idea for another new revenue stream?
Like a PlayStation, it can turn into like a competitor for PlayStation.
I don't know. It's like it'll go one or two ways. UFC sues the shit out of this guy because everyone knows he did it now. It's like kind of out there. It's like it's kind of an open secret.
This can never be done again.
Yeah, exactly.
It will never work again.
Or like Chris, is implying, they offer him a job as like the developer of their Twitch UFC pay-per-view events or something like that. Like, I hope it's the former, or I hope it's the latter, not the former. But like, goddamn, this guy's in trouble now. Like, he gave us a gift by doing something so hilarious and brilliant, but like, I hope he's not gonna, get taken to court over this. But
I'm sure he'll be fine.
I would be really scared to cross UFC personally.
I think Joe Rogan,
I don't want that fight.
Being the stoner that he is, I think he'll be okay with it. I don't know about Dana.
I don't even know if I just threw out Joe Rogan as just like someone I associate with UFC, but I don't even know if he's involved anymore. I know Dana White is like the founder or whatever.
Yeah, he's in the new game. Yeah. Joe Rogan's like in the new.
Oh, okay.
He's still an announcer.
Okay, I wasn't sure, but yeah, it's like I would not want to cross those guys. This guy has balls. Like this Twitch dude, he has some brass balls. Like that's.
He has some hot nuts.
That's risky. He has hot nuts for sure.
Yeah. He was eating hot nuts that day.
He's got hot nuts for days.
Our last story actually involves a different fighting game that people really don't like for the most part, from what I've seen. Street Fighter V. So Street Fighter V has entered into a partnership with Red Bull. God knows why. And basically, if you buy certain cans of Red Bull, you can unlock a Red Bull costume for a character in Street Fighter V. Now, you only get one costume per can, so to unlock all the costumes, you would need 16 cans. That in itself is like whatever.
That's like a Saturday night for me, 16 cans of Red Bull. That's no big deal.
It's a LAN
party. Why not?
Yeah, it's a LAN party.
The costume DLC is actually kind of expensive in Street Fighter 5, so a can of Red Bull is not that crazy. But my problem is these costumes are so fucking ugly, and you basically serve as giant billboards for Red Bull. It's just like Red Bull plastered all over the characters, and I can't imagine anyone that likes either Street Fighter or Red Bull enough to mix the two. It's
for some reason, Pauly Shore came to mind when you said that. Right? Doesn't that like kind of make sense though? Like he would be that guy.
Yeah, the Ryu costume actually kind of reminds me of Pauly Shore. Now
maybe that's what it is. Like for some reason, it just like popped into my head. Like, is he the one making the decision?
Well, so the interesting thing is in the story, there's a picture here of like Ryu in the Kangol hat and whatnot, but I don't know that that's actually part of the Red Bull series, because if you watch the trailer, which is called, by the way, Hadouken in a Can.
Oh my god, dude!
That's the tagline. In case you didn't know,
it's so dumb.
His Red Bull costume looks nothing like that. It's basically his regular costume, but there's a giant Red Bull on the side of it, and it looks ugly.
I don't know why they chose Street Fighter. Like, wouldn't it have been cool? Like, I would have done this if it was like a Rocket League decal or or something like that. Because I think the idea is good. It's just the follow through.
It's a little weird.
And as Connor was saying before the show, it's everyone drinks Monster. We all know this, right, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the true Street Fighter master drinks Monster and Monster only. I mean, Red Bull's for scrubs and noobs and pretenders.
What?
Posers.
Why did they make Chun-Li look like a hip-hop diva? That's the thing.
Because she is.
I'm pretty sure that that's just like an alternate skin for Chun-Li and not like the Red Bull skin, which again is white and blue with a giant Red Bull sticker like right here.
Zangief is just sweatbands.
Sweatbands, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not creative. They're not interesting at all. And the character that
which is like so off-brand for Red Bull. Like Red Bull is interesting and full of character, right?
It's
like Red Bull Sports, Red Bull, all this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like they tried going with a minimalist approach to these costumes, but they just came out looking kind of low effort. Like it just didn't land.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like Guile's costume is just a white shirt that says Red Bull in the corner. And the one character that has a little bit more, which I don't know, so I don't play Street Fighter 5, so I don't know the characters, but the Middle Eastern character that has the wind powers, Rashid. So his costume, he looks like a bro. He looks like a frat boy. He has like a Red Bull hat and a gold chain and like a tracksuit-esque thing going on here, and it looks awful. Absolutely awful.
Shame, Red Bull. You're better than this.
Well, that's what but what I really want to know is who approached who, right? Did Red Bull reach out to Capcom? Or was Capcom was like, yo, Red Bull, let's get in on this Street Fighter action. Oh my God, we're selling so many copies.
I kind of want to say Red Bull made the first move just because, like, they seem like they always have these crazy ideas for promotions and stuff. Like, I don't know. To me, Red Bull as a company just seems like a cokehead that's always like coming up with like, oh, this is so cool, this is gonna be awesome, we gotta do this, guys. And like they just go to Capcom. Capcom's like, sure, why not? That's what happened in my head. I hope that's what
Capcom was like, money,
money, maybe
money. Okay, money.
Yeah.
We like money.
Yeah, I've always like I'm on board. I've always thought like I've always said that Red Bull was like if a frat boy was a company.
Yeah, pretty much.
and like what would happen? So I think like some guy was like, "Hey, have you heard of something called?" And then they were like, "Yeah, dude, there's a lot of money in esports. I play esports on my phone." And he's like, "Yeah, you should go after this." And this guy emails Capcom. It's like, "Hi, I work for Red Bull. I want to put my logos in your game." And this person's like, "I know what Red Bull is. Okay, that's totally fine.
I've heard of that.
I've heard of this." And now it's in.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now it's in the lowest reviewed Street Fighter game ever. I
Yeah.
think so. Bad timing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, that is all the show we have for you this week. Until next time, I have been your host, Michael Schluger.
I've been Connor Howard.
I am Joshua Irwin.
Crystal.
What? He cut out again.
My name is Chris Lassard, and I want to make a special shout out to Frank. I know I said some mean things to you earlier, and I know I'm married, but my number is 7.
Frank, you can find Chris under the missed connections part of Craigslist later.
I post every single day, Frank.
In the meantime, make sure you hit us up, comment section below. We'd love to hear from you guys, and of course, always tweet at us at Pack Podcast. Push a lot of buttons for us. We will see you next week.
Hasta luego.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks Assemble!